Hello, guys. Welcome back to another video. This is the Football Connect. I'm your host, Sam, and we are back again with another one. This is the Premier League review slash preview because games are continuing. This is the month of December where things are just moving on another level. So we're gonna be talking about all the games which were played, the horror shows, and the exciting games that we saw of the week. But before we get into that, we're just gonna give you a preview of all the games that were played and all the results of all the games. Then we talk about some of the important ones. Then we move on. So let's get into it. So as I'm telling you, to those people who are watching, who are listening to us on the podcast, thank you very much for joining us, guys. You keep listening more, keep inviting people. It's always important as we continue with this Premier League preview. It's exciting, and even review. We keep making content for you guys, and it's getting exciting as the league is getting into the thick of it. We're getting to the thick of it, or something like that, if you know what I mean. So we are really excited over where we're going for next. But anyway, let's get into this one as we do a quick one. So this was match day 14 of the 38 games that are there. And it went like this: Brentford versus Luton. It finished Brentford 3, Luton 1. Arsenal won by 2 goals to 1 against Wolves. Burnley won 5-0 against Sheffield. I knew that they were going to win this game. Everyone knew. Then Nottingham Forest were beaten by Everton by 1 goal to 0. One very important win for Everton. Newcastle won by 1 goal to 0 against Manchester United. Chelsea won by 3 goals to 2 against Brighton at the home, which I think was very important, especially playing 45 minutes with a red card. That was very important. We saw Liverpool winning by 4 goals to 3. That's one of the games that we're going to talk about. Exciting to watch what happened there. West Ham drew against Crystal Palace 1-1. Then we saw Bournemouth draw against, I think it's one of the most important draw that this team got. Bournemouth playing against Aston Villa and drawing 2-2. Then we have Manchester City drawing against Tottenham Hotspurs 3-3. Who predicted it? Few people did. I might not be one of those people, but we did. But people did. So anyway, let's get into this as we start to talk about what does all this mean. At the end of this, we are going to look at how the Premier League table looks like and how that has an impact over where we are going. So the first one, Manchester City 3, Tottenham Hotspurs 3. This is now the second time in a row where we see Manchester City failing to beat a team at their home ground, a home ground which has been a fortress for some time. Remember, I was hearing properly, they've won at that place 23 times out of the last 26 times, 25. Yeah, out of the last 25 games that they've played, 2 of them being draws, but they've won in all the other ones that have come. Liverpool started this trend, and Tottenham Hotspurs looks like they're continuing. And an interesting stat that we didn't know: Manchester City and both Tottenham Hotspurs have not won a Premier League game in their last 4 games that they've played. That is so huge, especially talking about a team that are champions, Champions League champions, Premier League champions, and as well as FA Cup champions. So it shows you that there is really a change in the mentality. Gary Neville talked about this. He said that after the time that they won the treble, Manchester United under Sir Alex Ferguson, they just did not feel the belief, or they didn't have that excitingness to try to do something. So it could be the same thing that Manchester City is facing, or maybe it's the fact that they just don't have a squad or a depth that can help them actually achieve something. There is a lot of things we can look at and actually point at and say that, oh, this could be the reason. But the fact that Tottenham Hotspurs went to this team, Ange Ball never changed on his standards. Of course, he lowered in terms of how they were going forward, but never changed. Played the same way he has been playing with a team which, in fact, expression calls it Tottenham half Spurs. They're not even a team that is full to actually do something. A lot of players in this squad are out because of injuries. And to go and have a statement performance like this and leaving the game actually after winning the drawing the game against the champions. That is to mean something. Of course, there are some situations that maybe Haaland wanted to beat the referee, and other things that happened that maybe we could look at. Jeremy Doku had so much space but could not do anything. Some of the things that we need to talk about, because these are some people's star boys. We people have been talking about and saying so much, raving and shouting about and saying that they are the best in the world. Now when they're expected to show how best they are in the world and they don't show up in the game, there will always be some people who speak about it. And I'm not the type who's going to be ashamed to actually shade. Pep Guardiola's City is not the same team that it was last season. Manchester City are not the team that they were last season. And one can look at it and say that maybe it's because of the amount of players that have left. Remember, this was the season that Ilkay Gundogan has left the team, Mahrez has left the team, and so forth and so forth. All the players who have left. Sterling is no longer there. Cole Palmer also left. So there are so many players that have left the squad team as well. So it could have an effect. Maybe we could look at it and actually say that the new players that they've bought, other than Doku, they have not gelled yet. I don't think we have even seen Mateus Nunes play. I'm just hoping that he will not be like maybe the way we saw the career of Calvin Phillips actually play on. Like, there is, those are things that some people can worry about over how the season is going, as well as we can say that maybe the hunger in the team that has achieved so much, getting a treble, it's no longer there, like really there. Maybe they've just done too much, and they don't feel like they want to keep doing it. They want to keep fighting for it or actually achieve something. That could all be some things that make sense, and we can look forward and say, okay, this actually could be the truth. But here we are talking about a squad that has done it all last season, and they don't even look anything like a shadow of themselves that the way last season. So there is a lot of change between Man City from then and Manchester City now. And to make matters worse, if you saw the way Pep Guardiola reacted after the third goal was scored by Tottenham Hotspurs, you could see that is not just a reaction of any manager who's actually affected by a team losing. That is a reaction of a manager who's actually looking at his team and actually believing that what he's seeing is true, because it's hard for a manager to tell the team that we are terrible, but I think he's seeing it that we are not the same team we had, and now this is where we are. Remember, teams are always born by rotating people, and he was hoping that with the rotations he did, it could make sense. Now look at the bench of Manchester City. I've never seen Man City's bench looking like that. It's never like that. Could be also maybe because there's just this overhaul charges of about 115 that just refuse to go away. It could be it's already showing the signs that it is now having an impact on the dressing room. You never know. There's just so much with the Manchester City at the moment to actually try to give an idea what could be the problem. So one person can come up with so many excuses. One person can come out and actually tell us whatever they're thinking when they're looking at this team. But this team does not look like the team that we used to see. They don't look like they're hungry enough. Maybe the hunger would come because they've always been known of a team that never really starts well, but always develop into becoming something special after the December break. We've seen them so many times giving Liverpool a problem every single time after this. This is the team that is capable of going on a run, and the next of them is Liverpool. Now it's now different. Now let's talk about how things are like right now on the table. It's now different because they are competing with us now. Now there is Liverpool involved who are also competing. So it means that the enemy that they had to fight against last season and the enemy that they have been fighting for the past 3 or 4 seasons, which they know, it's way easy for you to compete with one enemy in front of you that you want to overcome. But when they become 2, It's really, really exhausting. So it's gonna really test the mental capacity of this Manchester City squad. Are they able to keep fighting? Are they able to keep trying to show that they have something to prove? Because at the moment, the things that we're seeing right now, you can see that they are not really the team that we're used to. You can see that there are few things that are lacking from this squad, and maybe as we continue seeing, as the season continue to progress and it keeps opening up, we will see what they are made of. And as well, we'll actually have to see how the downfalls of the other squad will be like, especially after the transfers of January and stuff like that. But all in all, Tottenham Hotspurs, because I think I've spoken so much about Man City, Ange is an interesting man. He is one person who's willing to die in his morals. He never changes. He'll always continue with what he believes in. And if there's any game that so many managers are willing to change and play differently because of, fearing to be embarrassed, fearing to maybe receive so much than that they should be getting, it's this fixture. And for a man to don't even think of even dropping his midfield even 3 steps back, he keeps it the same way it is, he continues attacking. It's interesting. It's really, really interesting. But one person could come out and actually say that even though it was like that, he did in a way drop a little bit back. To those people who understand football, he did draw back a bit, because if he had continued with the way he started the game, it could have been a long day. It could have been a long game, but he dropped back as a way of trying to actually get something in the game, and some people respect that. So there is something about this Ange ball. There is something about this unstoppable, the Koglu guy, that we can actually respect, that he can see when reasoning is actually needed to be applied in a game. Because in the first half, Tottenham were terrible. See how many times did they hit the bar? If one of those goals gets into the back of the net, that's a different goal. Haaland means the sitter. But one thing that we can respect is Tottenham Hotspur's fighting spirit. They didn't give up. City scores, they go score on the other side. City scores, they go score on the other side. That is how champions are made of. That is a team that is developing a mentality of actually trying to get something are made of. That's what they have to do, and we saw it in fullness the way it was done by Tottenham Hotspurs. I was really impressed, and actually I enjoyed that game. Anyway, we'll see how that one will play out in the bigger picture as we go forward. We're gonna move on to the next game, which I think was one of the best thrillers we watched yesterday, which was Liverpool 4, Fulham 3. Now, when you look at these two squads, you are actually surprised. How did Fulham actually manage to score 3 goals at Anfield? And if you're a Liverpool fan who actually watched the game like I did, I'll come up and be like, dude, shit happens. That's exactly what happens, because we saw something that we have never seen. We saw Liverpool struggle to get that consistency. We saw Liverpool actually going through the most to try to get something out of a game. And all of that, it was all written and we all experienced it. 2 goals that Fulham scored, they're easy goals that at any normal occasion, our goalkeeper saved this. I'm meaning Alisson. But we did not have Alisson in this situation. We had Gallagher, a goalkeeper who's trying to build his CVs, including his confidence into the big games. And when you make an error, the first error, we saw it as well with Onana, that it's something that can always continue and actually have an impact over how a game is able to go. That could be one of the things that happened in this. Because after the goal that Trent Alexander-Arnold scored, it was a different game. But all those things came flowing down, all came crumbling down, and it all became a different game. In fact, at a certain point, Liverpool team were actually losing the game. But we need to talk about first the goals. We need to talk about the mentality of the team and what it actually means in the grand scheme of things, in terms of building a winning belief. what does all these things mean? We saw, and I think this is very, very important. We saw Liverpool play so well, score a worldie of a free kick, which by the way is now an own goal. Played, and on the other side, Fulham scores a goal. Liverpool attacks, scores another worldie with McAllister. What a goal, by the way. Then Fulham goes to score again. Then Fulham are actually starting to believe that they can get something out of the game, which means the confidence actually grew. The last team we saw actually growing its confidence in a certain game was actually Luton Town, and a game we ended up drawing 1-1, which Liverpool almost lost. The confidence grew, and as it grew, it became a different master of a game. And now Liverpool have to now try to fight over the confidence that has been now been shaped in this team, and the fan base that was now making noise in Anfield, a fan base which was making more noise in Anfield. It was one game that was challenging. It demanded so much from these two teams. And I think maybe we can come here and say that maybe Trent Alexander-Arnold got the last laugh like he did against Man City. But we can always look at it and say that maybe he actually got an important piece into this group of players, because that could actually help them elevate them to actually become a team that believe. One thing that people have to understand is that Liverpool is an emotional team. Everything that Liverpool do, it's led by their emotions. And what we saw them coming back from a game that they should have lost or should have drawn, coming back to win it. One can come here and say that maybe if they now start to build up according to this momentum, they can create something. Because it was a game which midfielders and defenders were scoring. I don't think there's any striker of Liverpool that scored in this game. And people talk about how little our strike force is. And none of them scored in this game. So that could be something that builds something interesting, with world-class goals being scored at one single game. That is out of this world. So there is so much to build on. Of course, there are some laws as well in terms of why would you allow 3 goals to enter at your own backyard. That is dangerous. Other teams, when they do it, I would be coming in and saying that this is not sustainable, and I'm going to keep the same spirit. They cannot try to say that we can compete for anything if they keep conceding goals the way we are conceding. There has to be strength, there has to be signs of showing that there's life in this midfield and whatever this Liverpool squad does, because if they can't, it's going to impact us as we go forward, if you understand what I mean. Anyway, Darwin Núñez again, missing chances after chances. They had chances to win this game, to do something, hit the crossbar. Something has to change. I think that's the only thing that we have to say. Maybe he has to be dropped down a bit, and maybe let's put Cody Gakpo. Let's see where we go in the Cody Gakpo, because it seems like every time when he's in, he's either scoring or causing problems that leads to goals. So that has to change as well. So there's a lot of things that we can look at it and actually talk about it, this Liverpool. But the game ended like this. What does this mean in the end of the day? I believe because Liverpool is an emotional club, this could actually elevate them to actually try to do something meaningful. This could actually elevate them to try and believe that they can actually achieve something meaningful. Also, there were also injuries which were picked up. Matip is out, maybe longer. Alisson and Jota, we lost them last week. Now we've lost Matip this week. And it's the December games are just getting started, because midweek, they are December games as well. So, hey, it's gonna be crazy. It's gonna be crazy rounds of games that we're about to see here. But anyway, I wanna hear your thoughts in the comment section. What did you think about this game? As we move on to Chelsea 3, Brighton 2. Maybe we can say that they were lucky. That could be one of the things we say. We will say that they were lucky, because a team scoring a penalty, 2 penalties, that changes any game. So we can say that they were lucky, and Brighton are just not good in terms of defending penalties. But one thing that we have to give praise is that Chelsea actually coming out and actually proving something meaningful the way they did. fighting to the very end and getting something out of this game, it's more than capable of getting anybody's respect. That's the only thing I can say. They fought in this game. Gallagher decided to send himself up, the second captain in a week row of Chelsea, who decides, no, I'm just tired of being in the game. Let me get out. And that will always have an impact in terms of how the situations goes. But yeah. Anyway, we'll get to see what happens. 3-2, that's how the game ended. Chelsea fans were buzzed, excited, enjoyed the game. But yeah, there's still more to work on and try to build down the toe and see where they go to. Manchester United nil as they travel to Newcastle, which actually won by 1-0. One person can come up and say that maybe Newcastle struggled and United were able to keep in the game, hold on and try to do something, but it was very, very different from actually what we saw. Newcastle should have scored even more goals than what they scored. Manchester United have to consider themselves very, very lucky. I am worried about this team. The reason why I'm worried about this team, they just don't look like a team that is believing. And I heard Jamie Carragher coming up and talking about how maybe it's very important for star boys, homegrown boys, and the guys that are meant to carry the team, the likes of Marcus Rashford. These are the times that they're supposed to step up and try to prove something, but they're throwing their heads down. They're giving up. Of course, the likes of Anthony, they do that. They were just bought. They came on a transfer. But you are homegrown. You have been here for more than some years. You have seen what the big teams can do. You have actually experienced the belief that you can do something as a club because of this. So that has to always be crying inside you. That always has to be eating you up, shouting and trying to get something out of it. But we didn't see. It's very important to see how they want to play out. But yeah, that's where we are. So it finished 1-0. Nick Pope picked up an injury, which now has been confirmed that he'll be out for 4 months. And now we're being told that Manchester United's former goalkeeper David De Gea could be on his way back to the Premier League, as Newcastle would look to replace him so that they can have somebody strong as they continue with the league. Anyway, it's going to be an exciting time so that we see how the situation goes. But do me a favor, click the like button, subscribe to the content. Let's continue as we move on to Arsenal versus Wolves. Arsenal won by 2-1. They were comfortable. They were moving this game. It looked exciting, but it all became a different game as the second half actually came into play. Wolves actually started to believe. I think their belief came a little bit late. They had so much time to actually get that belief, but it came so very late. And that could have been one of the most things that impacted the progress of the game. But that's something that they have to change, and actually they have to try to do something in the game so that it doesn't always come like that. Burnley winning by 5-0. It's very important. We have to talk about it. This was their first win of the season, and it was convincingly playing against a team that was in the championship, winning by 5-0. Maybe that could be one thing that they use to elevate and believe that they can do something as they continue going forward. But at the moment, that's where we are. Do me a favor, click the like button, subscribe to the connect. So Brentford lost against Brentford won against Luton. What did we expect, Luton? Then we had Everton winning against Nottingham Forest, an important victory for Everton as they try to escape where they are at the moment. So it's going to be exciting to see how they get out of the relegation. Remember, there were financial fair play rules that they faced as well, so there is a lot of things that happened there. As we move on, Liverpool, like we talked about it, Crystal Palace versus West Ham finished 1-1. I have no idea what's wrong with Palace. Maybe it will make sense very, very soon, but they are in trouble. Then we move on. That could actually be the last one. Bournemouth managed to stop Aston Villa by drawing it to 2-2. I think it was one of the most important games that they actually showed. They showed the fighting spirit. They tried by all means to get something out of the game. So it was exciting to watch. Let's see if they're able to build up from there. But yeah, Aston Villa, they'll be gutted about this, because if they'd won the game, I think they'll be also on top of Man City, number 4. So there is that difference. So let's see. Click the like button, subscribe to the Connect as we move on. So those are all the games that were played. If I forgot anything, let me know. As you can see, my eyes could be like that as well. But game week 15 is coming up thick and fast as well. We are actually starting tomorrow, people, as we'll be watching Wolves versus Burnley. We'll be watching Luton Town versus Arsenal. We'll be watching Sheffield United versus Liverpool on Wednesday. Fulham versus Nottingham Forest on Wednesday. Crystal Palace versus Bournemouth, as well as Brentford versus Brighton on Wednesday. As well as Manchester United playing against Chelsea. Then we also have Aston Villa playing against City. And lastly, we have Everton versus Newcastle, as well as Tottenham Hotspur versus West Ham. Those are the games of it is now game week 15. The Premier League is now heating up, and this is where we always find so many games being played. Build up to the bigger games. Manchester United versus Chelsea. There is those sort of belief that maybe, just maybe, Chelsea Football Club are starting to believe that they have something. They are creating something more, and the players are believing it as well. Okay, so like I'm saying, people, Manchester United are not the team that we're used to. Not even the Manchester United of last season that we're seeing here. This team, as well as Chelsea. They're not a Chelsea of the recent season. They are a different one. Who has the upper hand though? Who has the upper hand between these two when they clashed against each other? It's gonna be at Old Trafford, under the lights, 10:15 my time. Imagine 10:15. I think that'll be around 8:15 in British time. Confirm with me there in the comment section. It could be one of those games that it's gonna be high scoring games. But when I think of high in scoring, I'm wondering at Manchester United, who's gonna be scoring goals, man? Who will be scoring goals? Because we have seen that Chelsea are capable of doing it. They've been producing some main events of the games, the 4-4 with City, and so forth and so on. There is a lot of changes that is happening. So there is that worry that this could be a different game. A lot of things could happen, and we could see a lot of things. But coming from where? That's where the question is from. A lot of people believe that Erik ten Hag is about to go through a run where he is gonna keep losing the games until next season. And if he survives this run of losing so many games, he might not actually get sacked. But also those lot of people believes as well that Chelsea, if of all the games he's gonna face in the recent times, there are only 2 games that he could get something. Chelsea could be one of those games. But we have seen what Chelsea are doing when they play against the Big 6. They are a different monster. They are causing problems. They'll put it in the face of people. Now that Gallagher is out and suspended, could that actually help Manchester United in their favor? So many questions that are being raised over this game, because it is a big fixture and we expect to see some interesting and exciting things that happen in the game. But at the same time, we cannot take away the fact that United can also turn up at their own ground, or as well as these are not the teams that are exactly at the power we want them to be. They are not really exactly where we'd expect them to be whenever they meet each other. It's going to be exciting to see what happens. I want to hear your thoughts in the comment section. Click the like button, subscribe to the Connect. As we move on to Aston Villa versus Man City, one of the interesting games of the week. Rodri suspended through a yellow. Haaland should have been, but it seems like he's escaped the charges. There are so many players who are out for this fixture, and we are just wondering what's going to happen over where they're going elsewhere, because I'm trying to remember who's the other one. Anyway, I can't really remember right now, but there are so many players who are going to be missing for City, and if with the bench that they have, which is very, very, very thin, so many players are missing. This could be a long game. I'm telling you, this could be a long game that so many people will talk about and maybe laugh about in the process. But we will be here. We'll be here to see what happens here. There is a London derby that is happening here, people. Oh, but then my predictions over the Manchester United versus Chelsea game is actually 2-1 to Chelsea. I think I'll do this at the end of the video. I'm going to give you my combined 11 of Chelsea versus Manchester United anyway. So let's move on. As to Aston Villa versus City, I actually believe City are in trouble. They might lose this game by 2-0 or even 2-1, because I feel like Aston Villa will be able to take advantage and actually hurt them. So it's going to be exciting to see how much hurting or how much punishment this City will be able to take, because last time they played Wolves and they didn't have a certain Rodri, they were a different team. Now they're coming and they're playing a different team that is also strong, which could be in the top 4 if this game goes well, which could give a different view over how the Premier League has been going like. So there's a lot of things in terms of expectation over where this game could go and how this game will actually have an impact as we go forward with the Premier League. I would want to hear your thoughts in the comment section over that one. Everton are hosting Newcastle, and Newcastle with so many injuries. Everton will be beaten by Manchester United by 3-0. What would happen? Do you think Newcastle will just lose easily? Well, so many questions will be asked on that. I want to know your thoughts in the comment section. Do you think that Everton has what it takes inside to actually get out of this relegation zone and actually put on maybe a run of games? I'm not saying winning all of them, maybe drawing and doing what, but trying to come at least in the middle of that table. Can they do that? Newcastle no longer have Pop. Rumors of De Gea coming back could be what actually runs the situation. So we could be actually getting into this fixture with a new, different look Manchester United. So yeah, that's one of the most important games to keep an eye on. I actually believe Newcastle might win this game by 3-2, because I believe Everton will actually score as well. They'll put so much pressure. Like I said to you, there is a London derby that is going to be played on the Tottenham side of things after their performance, and I think they are very important and encouraging performance against the Citizen. Do you think that Tottenham Hotspur has what it takes to actually move on and actually get something? Because if that is the case, then it's going to be interesting to see what happens. The Hammers did not play so well than I expected last time, but they can get something out of this. Spurs has so many injuries, people. But as well, these guys can get something. So let's see how that one plays out. My prediction is actually Tottenham Hotspurs win this game by 2-1. We have Brighton versus Brentford. I actually believe Brighton are actually going to win that game 1-0. Crystal Palace versus Bournemouth. Bournemouth win that game 2-1, and Solanke scores. Fulham versus Nottingham Forest. Fulham actually maybe might get something out of that game. as well as Sheffield United versus Liverpool. An interesting fixture. Sheffield might have a new manager bounce, but Liverpool has to get the job done and they have to win at least by 3-0 as well. Then we have the last two, Luton Town versus Arsenal. Is 3 points for Arsenal. That has to be a win. Then lastly, Arsenal win the game by 3-1. Lastly, Wolves versus Burnley. Interesting. Burnley coming out from a 1-5-0 win. They are in belief. They believe that they have something to prove. They believe that they can get something. But they're playing a team that can hurt them as well. So I could see this game going maybe, let's say 3-2 to Wolves. Do me a favor, click the like button. I'm about to go out, as you can see if you're watching on camera. But do me a favor, click the like button. Let me know your thoughts in the comments over the league and what you're expecting as we go forward. I'm out. I've been your host, Sam. This has been the Football Connect preview/preview. We'll be back again with another one. We pray. Peace. Subscribe.